Hey guys, I'm here with the big rock dude himself, Malphite. Let's see if he makes landmarks playable.
There is Malphite. I am Malphite. Snow on my head.
You've summoned 12 plus mana of landmarks, and he's a 7 mana tough with 6/10. That's like Nautilus. But he's not he doesn't have 0 attack, so he actually does something on turn 7. Okay. He's expensive, he's not a landmark himself. Very interesting. Aww. Okay, we've seen this one. I've seen this card revealed during the Asia stream. So this is a 4 mana fast spell, which is very scary for Targon. Ground Slam, stun a unit, deal 3 to it if you summon a landmark this game. So it seems really easy to summon a landmark if you're playing Malphite. This seems like a very solid card. The fact it's fast speed in Targon is kind of scary, but I think this is a very good one. I just want to see his level up.
I will go this way.
That fist. That's actually pretty cool, just getting a rock to fight for you. Unstoppable force.
I'm gonna shake things up.
Okay, here we go. When I'm summoned or level up or round start, if you have the attack token, create an unstoppable force in hand. Alright, we have to see what that is. What is unstoppable force? Okay, we've seen this too.
Here comes the boulder.
Oh. 2 mana slow stun all enemies. So you get like an Ash Arrow every turn? That's pretty good. I don't want to say Yasuo synergy because summoning 13 plus mana worth of landmarks in a Yasuo deck seems questionable. Yeah, it's alright. It's, yeah, it's alright.
Rock always wins. Uh-oh, landslide.
Oh man, these animations are fantastic though.
Sometimes the land hits back. It is a good day to be Malphite.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Friendship.
I wonder how that's going to work out. It seems, I don't know if this is going to make landmarks viable. Alright, let's look at all the cards and I'll give them a rating. Okay, so here we are with the cards that got revealed yesterday. These were the cards that were supposed to hype up Malphite, but honestly, they seemed not very good. I have more of an idea on how to rate these cards now that we've seen Malphite, and I gotta say, I'm not fully convinced. I think he looks awesome though. It's definitely something I'm going to play around with. I loved playing Talia, and I'm going to love playing Malphite because they do seem to have some synergy together. But yeah, let's just see how these cards will do in the deck, and like I said, give them a rating. So on the left here, we have Spiral Stairs. 3 mana landmark, countdown 3, create a Seed of Strength in hand. And the Seed of Strength is a 0 mana slow fleeting spell that grants an ally +3/+2 and overwhelm. I think you need to play this card on Malphite from what I've seen in a Malphite deck, or on Talia even, because Talia shoots the 3 rocks, and if that removes the blockers, he can go through. And Malphite is just a big dude. So it does seem like Seed of Strength makes sense in that deck. However, it's a countdown 3, and the spell is fleeting, which makes it super awkward to use. I don't think this card is going to be very good at all because of that. Like, even if you were trying to fit this in a different type of deck, like in Lee Sin, I've seen a lot of people make the comparison between Zenith Blade and Seed of Strength. And the upside is that you don't have to spend any mana on the turn you want to set this up. It's 0 mana. So if you're playing this on your Lee Sin for 0 mana, you have other spells to actually protect the Lee Sin. Whereas with Zenith Blade, you have to spend that 3 mana, and then hopefully you have other spells to actually protect your Lee Sin. The awkward part is, and the reason why I think Zenith Blade is better, is that you have to set up your Lee Sin the turn prior to your landmark popping. And your opponent can see that coming, and they can prepare for it. There's no surprise factor with this or anything. They know you have to play the spell on that turn, and you're already playing the Spiral Stairs on turn 3, or on any turn, but you're paying 3 mana for it. And it's such a slow play that I really don't know how this is actually going to work. You have to play landmarks for Malphite to make sense, which is probably why it's better than Zenith Blade, but it's so bad. I'm going to rate this one 1 Sun. I simply, I don't see it. I wish I could, but I just think this card is terrible. Next up, we have Rockfall Path. 2-mana landmark, countdown to obliterate the weakest enemy. So this card is pretty cute. I like that there's some form of like direct removal in a Targon deck, first of all, but also in a landmark deck. Playing this against a deck like Spiders seems awful. You're just going to remove a 1/1. Any other zoo type deck, like even against discard, this is just not going to work. It's pretty funny against a deck like Lysandra because often you'll actually remove something that's pretty worthwhile unless they Val Feast something. And there's the synergy between some of the Zillion cards that got released where you can advance your landmark and pop this to your opponent's surprise, I guess. However, this is just, once again, it's a really slow play. Landmarks just feel super awkward and they need to do something that's more powerful for their cost, because not only are you waiting for the effect to happen, you're also not developing anything on the board while your opponent might be doing just that, setting you behind and taking a bunch of damage. And I don't think Malphite is necessarily going to get you back into the game. Like, you need to play Malphite and then you have to play the slow spell to lock down the enemy board. But they can like open attack, they can already kill you by that point. So I don't think Rockfall Path is very good either. I think it has some use. It's a cute card. I would put this in a Malphite deck, but I'm going to give it 2 suns. Next is the Earth Elemental. 4 mana, 3/5. Once you've summoned 4+ landmarks this game, grant me +3/+0. It's Overwhelm too. I think this card is one of the better cards for this archetype. The fact it has Overwhelm is pretty strong. I think something like Tough or even something like Regeneration would be better, because with Overwhelm, you're kind of trying to push damage. And it seems like with a Malphite Talia deck, that's something that will come naturally. So Earth Elemental, I think the Overwhelm keyword, it's good, but it could be better. It's not perfect for this. But still, having a 6/5 for 4 mana is obviously very strong. I think this card will see some play. I think this is going to be one of the better cards in the Talia Malphite deck. I'm giving this one 3 suns. It's very playable. There's not much to say about it. Just seems like a solid landmark payoff card. Next is the Blue Sentinel. 2 mana, 2/3, Last Breath. Summon a Crest of the Insight. And Crest of Insight is a 2 mana landmark. Countdown 1, get an extra mana gem this round. Okay, so this card is a lot harder to evaluate because there's a lot of combos with this card. You could potentially get your Talia out earlier with a card like this. Like if you play this on turn 2, you sack it on turn 3, then you summon the Crest of Insight, and on turn 4 you will get that extra mana gem, giving you 5, and you'll be able to play Talia. Pretty cute. Once again, that's cute is the best way I have to describe these cards, because it's just a cute idea for a deck. But I don't think it's very good. I think it's too awkward, too inconsistent. Having a 2 mana 2/3 is obviously pretty good, because you do need to play units on the board instead of only playing landmarks. But the payoff is kind of meh. You do care about the fact you're playing a 2 mana landmark, or you're summoning a 2 mana landmark for Malphite, and you're playing one of the 5 landmarks for Talia. I'm putting this card in the Malphite Talia package, by the way. That's... Oh, just punched my mic. That's how I'm evaluating them, because I think that's the deck they're meant to go in, and that's kind of what I'm trying to envision, how a deck like that is going to work. It doesn't seem to be a very good deck from what I've seen right now. I'm going to give Blue Sentinel 2 suns. I think it's going to be decent. I think it's a card you would play in a deck like that. I don't see that deck being competitive right now, sadly. But I like the idea. I'm going to play with it. Let's just move on to Malphite. And here's our big rock dude himself, Malphite. So Malphite is a 7 mana 6/10 with Tough. Just a unit when you summon him, does nothing. But once you've summoned 12+ mana of landmarks, he gets the ability, when I'm summoned or level up or round start, if you have the attack token, create an unstoppable force in hand. So he's not even... I mean, he is a defensive card, because having a 7/11 with Tough is going to stop basically any blocker. But you only get the unstoppable force with the attack token, which is actually pretty thematic, because in regular League of Legends, his ult is called unstoppable force. So when you have the attack token, he just pushes himself forward and stuns everything and knocks everything up. So he's going to be kind of a game closer. Also seems like the Seed of Strength is something you want to play on Malphite. So he's not just a 7/11, but can actually push a lot of that damage through his blocker. I kind of was hoping that Malphite would be a better payoff for Targon. I do love the fact that he exists. He's really cool in his ability that he just like stomps down on the board with his abilities. Looks sweet, but he's a little bit underwhelming. He's not something that's going to win you the game instantly. It's like an Ash Arrow that you have to set up. You have to have a board. You have to push through all that damage. does actually make rock bears seem a lot better though, because you're going to summon a bunch of rock bears in a turn, and then if you have Malphite with the Unstoppable Force, you can set up kind of like Frozen Thralls, where you set up a turn where everything, all your landmarks that summon units pop, and then you just stun everything and you go face. Seems like a pretty decent win condition. However, Malphite himself, I think he's pretty hard to set up. 12 plus mana of landmarks is a lot. Yeah, I'm going to give Malphite 2 suns. I really wish I could give him more. I just don't see the deck being very viable. I just see it as something that's very fun. The one redeeming factor he has is that he's in Targon, and Targon can pull wins out of nowhere. Maybe he's going to be a bit better because he's in a strong region. Speaking of which, design-wise, that's pretty interesting, because I really like that Riot has decided to give Targon an archetype and a champion that does something that's not necessarily very Targon-like. If they just made another Felios, if they just made another Zoe, well, you jam them in another Invoke deck and it would just be the same thing. Here they're trying something completely different. This package with Malphite is very outside or like next to Targon. When you play Malphite, I don't think you're going to call out your opponent for, oh my god, he's playing another Targon deck. No, you're playing a landmark deck. Maybe you play some star shaping to make the deck stronger if you have room for that. But that's the biggest redeeming factor I see for this. We'll have to see how it works out. I'm going to be experimenting with it a lot. I'm excited for it. I don't have very high hopes for this deck being very competitive. So Ground Slam is Malphite's champion spell. 4 mana fast speed, stun a unit, deal 3 to it if you summon a landmark in this game, create a Malphite in your deck. Okay, so Targon getting a fast speed spell and a stun at that is pretty scary. I know people are going to be yelling for Malphite, for Yasuo synergy, which it's obviously there. I think that could actually be pretty strong. I could see a Malphite Yasuo deck. The awkward part will be leveling up Malphite by playing landmarks. Playing landmarks in a Yasuo deck is going to be difficult. But the Ground Slam is a very strong ability. You're basically always going to deal 3 because you're going to be summoning landmarks. And yeah, having a fast speed stun in a deck like this to like delay your opponent is good. I'm going to give this 3 suns. Stonebreaker. If you summoned 4 plus landmark this game, deal 4 to an enemy and 2 to the enemy Nexus. It's a 6 mana 6/4. I think 6 mana is a little bit expensive. At that point, I think it's pretty likely that you've summoned 4 plus landmarks. Dealing 4 is a lot. It's a Black Spear. It's usually what will kill almost anything. I think the 2/2 Nexus is pretty irrelevant, unless you're playing a Swain deck, I guess. I don't think this is good enough. I think having a 6 mana 6/4 with an ability that will probably remove 1 enemy minion is a little bit underwhelming. I don't see this one carrying the landmark deck, so I'm going to give it 2 suns. And those are all the Malphite cards. I think they're a little bit low on the power level, on the power scale, so I'm not getting my hopes up for this deck to be very competitive. It's something I've loved playing Talia, even though she wasn't very good. I'm going to love playing Malphite too. And yeah, I'm excited, but I'm not excited to win games. I'm just excited to slam my rock fists on the enemy board and stun them, I guess. So yeah, let's also look at some of the cards that were revealed a few days ago, which was the variety reveal. Those cards were extremely interesting, and a lot of them actually seem to have a lot of competitive viability. So let's give those a rating as well. Here's the first image of the variety reveal. We're going to start with the Bilgewater cards on the left. We have Bone Skewer. An ally strikes an enemy, then moves to the top of your deck. I love this card. It's obviously Pike's card with his Bone Skewer, his harpoon. And it feels so Bilgewater-like to strike an enemy and then quickly get out to the top of your deck to not take the damage. Like if your opponent's trying to vengeance you, you quickly like hit them with your little dagger, and then you hide on the top of your deck. It's so flavorful. And Bilgewater has plenty of card draw, so you're not really going to worry too much about drawing the same card again. It could also be very good in deep decks. Obvious synergy with like task cards and later on the sea monsters to get their insane effects again. I think Bone Skewer is going to be a very, very strong card, and they make me really excited for Pike's reveal. I really wonder what he's going to do, because Pike is like this character that kind of like dives under and then pops up somewhere to yank you into the enemy, into your own team. In my case, because I'm always the one playing Pike, or he like dives underwater and pops up for his ult when he's trying to execute somebody. I'm just really curious what he's going to do. And these cards make me very excited for it. Because the second one is a 6 mana fast spell, Monster Harpoon. Deal 5 to a unit, plunder, I cost 3 less. I thought this would activate Reputation, but apparently Reputation is only when your allies strike. So, not quite a Reputation activator. However, this is a card that the old Swain Twisted Fate would have loved to play. And maybe because of this card, they make somewhat of a comeback. Dealing 5 damage will kill close to anything. A 6 mana deal 5 in a region like Bilgewater is very strong. I can't think of a single deck that would really make the best use out of a card like that, out of dealing 5 damage directly. However, Bilgewater is not known for their removal, and they just got 2 cards that can act as removal spells. Plunder, I cost 3 less, that's just a massive upside that you're sometimes going to get, and you're going to be very happy about it. Also, I just realized I forgot to rate the Bone Skewer. That card I'm going to give 4 suns. Monster Harpoon, I'm going to give 3 suns, just because I don't actually see what deck it goes into. However, if there is a home for this card, it's going to be a very well-performing card, might even carry a deck. Some cards are just good at making a deck function. They're not going to be the superstars. It's basically what Twisted Fate was. Twisted Fate was never the superstar of TF Swain decks. However, he kind of held the deck together with like a powerful swing turn, a lot of flexibility, and the deck was better because of him. The real superstars were Swain and Leviathan. And I expect this card to function in a similar way. Alright, next up we have Succumb to the Cold. 4 mana burst, frostbite enemy, summon a frozen troll. Very strange card, very fair card. Frostbiting something is 3 mana, summoning a frozen troll is 1 mana. So you add those together, you get 4 mana, and then you have this card. Frostbiting an enemy and summoning a frozen troll are not 2 things you generally want to do at the same time. Like when you're trying to summon a frozen troll, is not necessarily the time you want to be frostbiting an enemy. So I feel like the usage of this card is just going to be very awkward. You're never going to find like a perfect moment where you're like, oh, I really want to frostbite this enemy right now, or I really want to summon this frozen troll right now. Those 2 are never going to happen at the same time, which is why I think in even a frozen troll deck, maybe this is even a 1 or a 2 of. Doesn't seem that good. I'm going to give this one 2 suns. We're going to jump to the other Freljord card, Buried in Ice. Slow speed, 9 mana, obliterate each enemy to summon a frozen tomb in its place. At first I read this as frozen troll, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? Why is this allowed? This is completely insane. But it's obliterate for a frozen tomb, Lissandra's champion spell, which makes it a little bit more fair. I think this card is going to be very strong in certain decks, like you can combo it with It That Stares, you can combo it with Passage Unearned for a board clear. I'm kind of scared that this is in Freljord, giving that region a very potent AoE removal. Board wipe could be problematic. I'm going to give this card 4 suns, because I'm very scared of the potential, and this card is going to break a deck at some point. I can almost guarantee it. Next is the Wings and the Wave. Play me as first wave or last wind. So first wave is a 0/1 that summons a prey, also a 0/1. And last wind is a 1 mana 3/3 to play me kill an ally. So it's the Ravenous Butcher, but for 1 more mana and 1 more health. The power of this card comes with its flexibility. I don't think standalone any of the options are very strong, but the fact you can choose makes them quite decent. When I first saw it, was like, this is a 5-star card, a 5-sun card. Then I kind of went down to 4 suns, and right now I think it might even be a 3 suns. I don't think you would ever play this as a 3 of. For example, in Thresh Nasus, I think you would play this as a 1 or 2 of, just to have that, the fact that sometimes you need to sacrifice some things, that you sometimes need more sacrifice targets. That flexibility is why it's strong. So like I said, I'm going to give it 3 suns, because I think it's just good, but I don't think it's going to be fantastic. I think the cards in the deck are already doing a perfectly fine job, and the balance between sacrificing stuff and having sacrifice targets is pretty well balanced. So this card might see a home, but it's not going to take the deck by storm and make it even better than it already is. That's almost impossible. And here we have the final image of the variety reveal. We're going to start with the Demacia cards. Ardent Tracker, Scout, 6 mana 3/5. It is a Scout card, so that's always exciting for me. When you summon an elite, reduce my cost by 1. So the best synergy here I think is with Jarvan. Jarvan already has really good synergy with Scouts because he comes out on a Scout turn and then you can potentially attack with him again. But the fact that it's also an elite is also very good for Jarvan because Jarvan likes to be played in elite decks. You have the Penitent Squire who summons the who gives you a Tattered Banner. Giving that to this almost makes this a discount Genevieve. If you can reduce the mana cost of this enough, I think you want to ideally play this for 3 mana. I think 4 mana is still not good enough because Grizzled Ranger is just better. So having this as 3 mana is going to be pretty strong, and the power in this card will depend on how easy that is to do. I'm going to give this 3 suns because I think there's a lot of potential here, but I don't think the deck is quite good enough to really make use of a card like this and actually go up a tier just because of the Ardent Tracker. And then we have the big lady, a 10 mana 10/10, Citria, Lady of Clouds. the 4th Citra iteration, and this one is here to finish the game. He has Challenger, and once he summons, he doubles the power other allies, and their health, and grant them Challenger. So it's a game finisher. You could probably do some cute stuff with Matron, but the problem here is that she's 10 mana, which is very expensive. Most Demacia decks don't really get to 10 mana unless you're playing Targon Demacia. And when you have a big board with Demacia, you're already trying to rally, you're already trying to win combat with your combat tricks. I don't think you need Citria to close out the game. Demacia is already pretty good at that, and using a 10 mana card in a Demacia deck that likes to play more mid-range is not going to be that good. I'm going to rate this Citria 2 Suns. I don't think she's going to see play in any decks, but she is a pretty cool game finisher, so she might see some play as that. However, I don't think she's going to make the cut in most decks, and even if she does, I think she's going to be a one-off. Next, we have a card that I'm very scared will break the game, the Chirian Sumpworker. 2 mana elusive 1/2. When you summon another Chirian Sumpworker, obliterate me and transform elite Chirian Sumpworkers everywhere into Sumpworks Posse. And the Sumpwork Posse is an elusive 4/2 that deals 1 damage to enemies and the enemy nexus. I mean, that's just terrifying. This card will find a home, and it's going to cause a lot of frustration. I'm already going to rate this card 5 Suns, because it will find a home somewhere. It will break the game. It will be a tier 1 deck, just like Twisted Fate Fizz was with their elusive shenanigans. This card is going to do the exact same thing. There's going to be a little bit more setup, but we have cards like Fading Memories, like Iterative Improvement, even some like Zillion Predict deck maybe, where you can guarantee that you get 2 of them early in the game and play them one after another. It's terrifying. This card is going to do some nasty stuff, and we should all be very afraid. I just realized I'm in the way of Adaptatron, so let me move myself out of the way for that. So, Adaptatron 3000. 1 mana 1/3. When you summon a tech, we share keywords. This card is fantastic. It's a tech itself too. So if you summon an Adaptatron and you give it some keywords, the new Adaptatron is also going to copy those keywords. So this is not the card that you want to like end the game with. This is simply a buff distributor. You summon the 6/1 elusive turret. The Adaptatron gets elusive. So the next turret, if you summon a 3/1 turret, it's going to give elusive to that turret, and it's going to share fearsome between the Adaptatron and the new turret. I should say text, by the way, because so far I think the only tech cards in the game are turrets. You could also give Adaptatron a Sumpworks map, and then any tech you summon from them on will have elusive. I'm pretty excited about the tech card actually getting, or the tech tribe getting some support, because I don't think they have before. I don't think they've done anything meaningful. So I think Adaptatron is super cool. It actually makes me pretty excited to play Heimer decks, because I've never really done that in the past. Adaptatron, I think I'm going to rate it 2 or 3 Suns. Let's do 2 Suns for now, because I don't think it's going to make a Heimerdinger deck suddenly playable, but it's going to be a pretty solid tool in decks that go all in on Heimerdinger. Also, it being a 1 mana 1/3 is just a pretty okay blocker. We haven't really seen much 1 mana 1/3, so I'm pretty excited for that too. We need more of that. But yeah, I'm excited to give this card a try, and might make Heimerdinger a pretty fun champion again. Incisive Tactician, 8 mana, 4/5, reputation, I cost 6 when I'm summoned rally. So this is the guy that's on the Art of Bloody Business, which makes it very strange that he's only 4 attack. It's probably because if he had 5 attack, you could do some strange shenanigans with LeBlanc's spell, when you get the clone of something, and then you keep rallying and rallying and rallying for 2 mana if you copy this guy. But this just seems pretty weak. Costing 6, that's still pretty expensive for a rally. You do get a body with it, but it's like a less good Citria. No, not Citria. Tiana. So I'm not convinced. I think it's good that Noxus gets another rally. They'll find a way to use that at some point, but right now I don't see this slotting in any deck, so I'm going to give it 1 Sun. Trashing Snapper, 1 mana 2/1. When an enemy blocks me, give me +3/+0 this round. I love the flavor of this card, because this is the Skilled Snapper from Ionia, which is normally a 2/2, and then you give it either +3 attack or +3 health. Obviously, this one is pretty angry because it's been captured by Noxus, so it's going to get +3 attack when it's blocked. Pretty cool reputation activator. Also, Noxus already has so many good 1-drops that I'm not sure how good this one is going to be, because do you want to play this over the Legion Saboteur, over the Riven Blade Fragment guy, or the Precious Pet, or the 3/2 that can't block? I don't think it's necessarily better than that, but your opponent's going to hate blocking this, because a 5/1 is going to win trades. So often it will just hit the Nexus for 2 attack, I think. That's pretty aggressive, and that's something Noxus obviously likes. I can see some use for this. Maybe it's played in Ash LeBlanc. I'm going to give it 2 suns. It's not going to be amazing among all the other good Noxus 1-drops, but it's pretty cute. I like the flavor. I'm going to play around with it, and it has some use. So those were all the cards revealed. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you agree with my ratings, and if you don't, let me know in the comments. And I hope you see you guys for the last reveal, which should be Aurelia in a few days. And yeah, I'll see you guys there.